It is my Thursday morning. I'm a little bit early. I usually do my morning live streams at 6:30 a.m. my time. It's 6:20 a.m. I have a client who moved up a strength session a half hour, so I have to move up my live stream. The turkey card, obviously, we got to get into that. And I didn't stay up to watch it. That card aired at 3 a.m. my time. I get up too early. So I woke up to Q Adrian Broner. We got cooked. Damn. So anyway, we'll get into that. I went 50-50 actually on my bets. Obviously lost. I picked against Jazza. And, kudos to Jazza Dickens, mate. You know that I do this channel. I put a lot of effort and energy into this. I do the predictions and betting side of things because you guys asked me to do it a couple months ago. That being said, if you're not having fun gambling, if you're not having fun betting on the fights, don't bet on fights, right? This is strictly entertainment. And so that's why when I lose, I'm half-hearted. I'm not gambling to get rich. I'm not gambling to get wealthy. I'm gambling for the entertainment. And so when I pick against a guy like Jazza Dickens and he wins, I'm like, dude, 34 years old, lost, fought for a couple world titles. They said this was the end of his career, lost those world titles, got stopped against Rigondeaux, got stopped against Kid Galahad. And then he has this sort of resurgence in his last fight, beating a really tough Zelfa Barrett that propelled him into this fight. Guys, he was the B-side, no doubt about it. Don't get it twisted. He was sent to Turkey to fight their gold medal Olympian from Russia, Albert Batyrgaziev, to lose this fight. Big underdog. And, dude, I wake up and I find out Jazza stops him in the fourth. Therefore, making him the interim champion, the WBA champion. And we know that 130 Lamont Roach has vacated to fight Tank a second time, even though that fight isn't on paper yet. But you got to think, Jazza's probably going to get elevated to a full world title status. And who saw that coming? I'll say, yeah. And Terrell Fearon, what's up, buddy? 2 live streams ago, this was my saving grace, like I said. In the co-main, I hit $1.74. In my fight prediction analysis on my playlist, obviously I took Batyrgaziev to win. But in the live stream 2 days ago, I said, I think my lock of the week is going to be this fight, Jazza versus Batyrgaziev, not to go the distance at 285. Maybe somebody out there listened to me. I didn't listen to myself. And I'm burning right now. I didn't listen to myself. My instinct at the beginning of the week was to go heavy on this fight, Batyrgaziev versus Jazza, but take the fight not to go the distance. If I would have, that's a 285. I didn't. I picked the decision, actually. And, I was wrong. I went 50-50. I hit the co-main. I picked Dojeni to get stopped, and he got stopped late. I just saw some highlights. Yeah. And I'm taking guys, the longer you're on the channel, you could start. I write everything down, by the way. I write everything down. I'm old school, so I write with a pen. And 2 weeks ago, I wrote boundaries for my betting. Domestic level, national fighters, no undercard fighters. I was leaving them alone. Domestic heavyweights is in that category. I have a new category unlocked for me not to bet. Gold medal Olympians with under 12 fights fighting against veterans. Guys, this is exact Francisco Rodriguez Jr. versus Galal Yafai. Same exact, look at the parallels between Francisco Rodriguez Jr., even his record, and Galal Yafai, and then Jazza Dickens and Albert Batyrgaziev. It's insane. So I'm categorizing. Next time the bookies try to make me take the bait and put one of these veterans as a big dog, I'm gonna think twice before going with the Olympian, because we've seen it time and time again. Boxing, the whole narrative, it's a younger man's sport. I don't know anymore, man. These maybe this is an advent, with the advancement in strength and conditioning and nutritionists. A lot of these high-level fighters will have camps around them, focusing on the recovery. The sport is evolving, my point is. Not only the sport within the ring, but the sport outside of the ring in terms of recovery. We're seeing guys, we're seeing narratives being rewritten. Once was spoken, in the lighter weight classes when, you've gotten stopped before a handful of times and you're over the age of 30, 32, it's over. But look at guys, look at Jazza Dickens, look at Francisco Rodriguez Jr., look at, we just saw it, Nonito Donaire won another big fight. The list is growing and growing. Yeah, Pedro Cabrales. So hopefully you guys, because I know some of you boys in my comments were picking Jazza. Not a lot of you. Not a lot of you picked Jazza to win. But I know some of you boys are out there, so I salute my hat to you. And in my breakdown, I said if Jazza was going to win, it was going to go down that way. You could. The power. And I did say, I said Dickens is a very brave fighter. Yeah, but take lessons with us. We need to keep our eye open for the upset. Yeah, we do, David. That's why one of my favorite things about the chat, our chat here, is people will hold each other accountable. There it is. Rene Alvarado, more. The list is growing. Man came on here looking like Robert Van Winkle. Who's Robert? Are you talking about Vanilla Ice Toxic? This guy. Ice Ice Baby. Man, I used to know every word of that song. Anyway, Toxic is always out here trying to clown. All right, so did you guys stay? I've only seen the highlights. I've been up for I just had a client right now, woke up 10 minutes, saw the highlights, had a bunch of messages. And if you look at that fight card, actually, only 2 of the favorites won. Yeah, Rob Van Winkle's wild, dude. We out here cooking each other. Does Dickens have a solid backing or promoter? I know, he looked good. The co-main was great as well. Yeah, that's the Donjeni fight. And I took that fight to end by stoppage. I didn't pick Donjeni to get stopped. I just picked that fight to end by stoppage, and I hit $1.80. But guys, if you go to the box rec right now, if we want to put a bookend on the fight card in Turkey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Of the 7 favorites, 5 of them lost, which is insane. Batyrgaziev lost. All the A sides lost. Batyrgaziev lost. Mustafayev lost. I can't even pronounce this name. Mazandarani lost. Tatar lost. And Suleimanayev lost. The only 2 favorites who won were the dude who beat up my boy Will Chope, Kazgan. And that might have been a bare knuckle fight. It's a weird thing on the box rec. And then Bachkov, Havhanes. Those are the only 2 favorites who won. Moving forward, it was like I said, you gotta tip your cap to Jazza Dickens, dude. This guy. That's why you gotta love the sport of boxing. Never give up on your career, man. It would be amazing to see if he gets elevated. Ring Magazine has announced that Boo Tennis. I'm not getting excited until we see that in paper. Oh, he really commented about this, Kamei, and it did happen. Some dude on that card had a last. Yeah, Goat. I'm gonna try to pronounce it. I'll post. You guys know I always post my receipts whenever I tell you a story. So in 8th grade in Ohio, I won the spelling bee. So back in the day, when I was growing up, they would do this national scripts. The company that promoted it was SCRIPPS, spelling bee. So I've always had a way with words. This guy's name is Puna Akantabara Mazandarani. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Dude, the last name has like 24 letters. It's insane. So let's just call him Puna. But he lost too. So turning the page, hopefully you guys either broke 50-50. Maybe you stayed away from that bet. If anything, like we always talk about. Yeah, Pedro, I agree. And, cheers to the UK getting one over on the, we talked all that about how the Brits struggle with Mexicans coming into the UK. But, the Brit, Jazza just showed that he could travel. That's a tough, man, I can't say enough about Jazza Dickens, dude. When you watch how he fights, the highlights of that fight, when he gets stopped, people being great. Yeah, it's good for boxing. And for all those haters for the sport who say the sport is scripted, upsets like this, Dickens winning just shows you that it's not. I know you're not betting on Shiraz versus Berlanga. Feels close to me. I'm betting on that fight. Toxic? Or you bait me? I'm comfortable with that fight. I like Shiraz versus Berlanga, but I'm taking Berlanga. I think Dickens will be elevated. Guys, it looks like that's in the cards. The only thing that they have to wait for is for Roach and Tank to be signed at 35. That's, if you Google it, that's what the Ring is reporting. That's what the boxing scene is reporting, that as soon as that fight gets signed. Yeah, and Roach already said he's not going back to 30. And take it for what you want. He was talking kind of wild earlier in the week, talking about that he wanted to fight at 40 and 47, which is insane. Let's see you beat Tank first at 35 before we talk about going to 40 and 47. But that being the case, Jazza Dickens elevated to become a world champion is just awesome. It's just great for the sport. Could be on a massive card, Benavidez and Smith. Yeah, I'd love to see that fight. There's so many big cards coming up. 6-1. Yeah, high interest. 6-1. I know, dude. And what were those odds for him to stop Batyrgaziev? That's the sneaky pick. What were those odds for him to stop him? But let's turn the page here. We got okay, Catterall. Yeah, I like Berlanga by stoppage. So guys, yesterday I uploaded my breakdown of Catterall versus Eubank. I'd like to know what you guys, we're only a couple days away from that fight now. Catterall versus Eubank. I'd like to know where you guys stand. Yeah, Terrell, just July alone, mate. July alone is insane. And then on the down low, November's looking to be pretty wild too. Because they're talking about big fights already. I got Catterall by me too. Okay. So I uploaded Catterall in Eubank. Today I'm uploading the Joe Cordina. Yeah, got to keep that energy, Dave. But that's kind of Dave to put a statement on that comment. It's kind of how I've always lived my life growing up. We all go through adversity in life, especially as a young kid. We all have our own story. If you're interested, you can find it. I write about it. We all have our own stories growing up, and I feel that we could either take that one way or the other in terms of how we deal with adversity. I don't know how much of it is genetics or, a lot of it has to do with, nature versus nurture, how we deal with adversity. But ever since I was a little kid, I've always dealt with it in my own way. Yeah, I've always just smiled. whether I was, yeah. So we all deal with it differently. I think a lot of that has to do also with, learning as a young kid how to defend myself. My dad was really into philosophy. He was really smart and kind of raised me having a wider approach mentally on what life is all about without getting too, metaphysical here. Branching out here to something different to your perspective. Yeah. I mean, the older we get, the timeline of our lives as we get, if you're fortunate enough to get older and older, I think it's important for us to learn, learn through losses, whether it's losing a bet, whether it's losing a championship, whether it's losing a loved one, whether it's losing a relationship, somebody breaking up with you, your father passing away, all these things. I think those are the most important lessons in terms of how we could deal with and move forward. So the way I deal with losing a bet is how I've always dealt with loss. And yeah, so interesting you guys pick up on that. With the Jazza upset, I think we should not put more. I know, being hurt. You know what? I'm slowly listening to you guys more and more. I wish I don't know who it was because, I appreciate everybody who emails me. I appreciate everybody who comments. Sometimes if I don't get back to you in the emails, don't take that personal because I'm reading them, a lot of, and keep emailing me. But somebody said, Johnny, didn't you see Batyrgaziev get dropped a couple times in his last fight? And I said that, and I was like, yeah, but, I was siding, because I guess I'm a hopeless optimist, is a good way of putting it. I'm a hopeless optimist. Not delusional, but optimistic. So when I'm thinking about a fighter who gets dropped multiple times, who's won a gold medal, who's undefeated, who came back to win that fight, I'm thinking in my head, rather than focusing on it happening again, I'm thinking that he's going to move forward with it. Yeah, somebody hit Dickens by stoppage. Somebody on this, yeah, Chris B. So exactly. So hold me accountable. I was way wrong. Now he's chinny, right? He gets stopped. Somebody had to hit that 1600 on this live stream because The best part about the channel is it's not an echo chamber. I get a lot of, we have a healthy debate back and forth. Somebody on this live stream definitely picked Dickens by stoppage. And if you did, I tip my hat. Plus 1,600. I just didn't see it coming. Part of our film study, part of our, skeezy. Part of our film study, part of our reasoning, you have to take in consideration the journey of a fighter, how long a fighter's been in the game. But, got performances like Rodriguez Jr., performances like we just saw with Dickens, performances like Nonito Donaire, performances when guys turn the clock back. Maybe this is a sign of are we going to see Pacquiao do this to Barrios? Maybe you stay away from that fight. What do you guys think? Yeah, he did. Dickens looked bigger. I mean, when we're looking at statistics and pattern recognition, the old-timers are on top over the last few, first half of the year. Some of the old-timers going into these fights as big underdogs have come out on top. So I'm saying, we got a big old-timer fight coming up with Pacquiao versus Barrios. It kind of makes you think. Yeah, Dickens was hungrier, dude. Dickens didn't take anything for granted. But, so yeah, we have, turning the page, we have a fight card that the books are showing this week in the UK. I think you guys have boxing. Don't you guys have boxing tonight in Tennessee? Sergey Derevyanchenko? Yeah, Dickens, I mean, I'm just salty that I didn't stick with my lock of the week. I gave my lock of the week before the fight on the live stream. I said the fight to end by stoppage, and I went against it and I took Batyrgaziev by decision. Oh, did Sergey win, GOAT? Yeah, Sergey. So did Evan Holyfield win? There was a fight card last night, guys, in Tennessee. What's up, Jacob Burgos? Appreciate you guys tuning in, tapping in. Wherever you guys are, just like this video. We average the first live stream, we usually will get up to about 70 during the week. And then the second live stream, we get about 50 of you guys. I just ask to just like the video. A lot of you guys comment and are just unaware that you don't do that. It just helps the video grow after we stop the live stream. So yeah, yesterday, GOAT was telling me about how there was that fight card in Tennessee. Yeah. And that led us to talking about Sergey Derevyanchenko. Is there more of an underrated fighter than Derevyanchenko in terms of, that dude, he's not undefeated. He's never been stopped. Look who he's fought. We were talking about it yesterday. Yeah, I just downloaded Bet365. I think from one of you guys, it was either Skeezy told me to download it or maybe David. But I downloaded Bet365. The prop bets on Bet365 are insane. It's just that if some of you guys are watching this now and you have Bet365, because I'm just new to the app, sometimes how come when you hit boxing, not all the fights come up? But like yesterday, I hit boxing, only the UK fights came up. But I had to manually type in Albert Batyrgaziev, and then that fight came up. Am I navigating the app wrong, or is that what you have to do? Okay, look who since 2018. Sergey Derevyanchenko fought Danny Jacobs, Jack Colque, Gennady Golovkin, Jermall Charlo, Carlos Adames, Jaime Munguia, Christian Mabili, and nobody stopped him. PointsBet. Brett, I downloaded PointsBet too on the behest of Brett. In PointsBet now, it's wild to see how not all these apps aren't aligned. What's up, Johnny? I heard you mention sports watching when it comes to Saudi and boxing. It was super interesting because I never heard of that before. A video one day. Yeah. Oh, okay. Chris, I'll do that for you, Vargas. I'll do a video on sports watching. It said he never won any of those fights. It's sad. I know. He never got stomped, though. Where are you guys using these betting apps from? I mean, I'm from Australia. I live in Australia. I'm from America, but I think isn't the Bet365 app universal? I think Bet365 might be international because they ask you to pin your location, and then they have this sort of map. And to me, it looks like the Bet365 app might be global. I might be wrong. Added more fights, Mar the Prince. Okay, so I know Mar. Aren't you in Ohio? So if Mar's in Ohio or in North America and I'm in Australia, we're both using Bet365. That has to be international. All right, good. You know what? I might just start you because I just got comfortable with sports bet, but I definitely have seen more fights on Bet365 and more props. I mean, they have punch props, like total jabs thrown. It's insane. Brett's in Australia, Tyrell. I think Brett's in Melbourne. We have it too, but it's not available in Maryland or Delaware. That's insane. Yeah, Mars from Ohio. I got a good memory, guys. It's probably one of my biggest strengths since I was a kid in school and everything is being able to retain information and then pull it out. So, it helps me when I'm telling stories and podcasting and stuff like that. But, yeah, over time, I'll remember. There's Assad. What's up? I think Assad, one of you guys definitely had Dickens winning. CompuBox. One of these apps, guys, allows you to bet on punches. Now, for me, that gives me anxiety because I'm a simple type of guy. Yeah, Terrell, that's exactly what I was talking about. Too many options, mate. I'm a simple guy. And even after yesterday, watching Dickens stop Batyrgaziev, and my initial instinct was to take the stoppage, and then I try to get too fancy. I'm a money line, we all know it. I'm a money line guy. Those are my strengths. Those are the biggest. And right now, a method of victory over the last 3 weeks. I made most of my money over the last 3 weeks on will the fight go the distance, or the Dixon fight. So yeah, when I see punch stats and all that, I get anxiety. I think, Tito, you're right. I think all those options are definitely playing in their hands because you put more options out there. I'm going to make a terrible metaphor here. I'm going to make a terrible metaphor. But it's like, think about the modern era, the younger generation of dating. Like when I was coming up, if I didn't meet a girl at the dance club, if I didn't meet a girl at school, in study hall, you ain't meeting a girl. Or, I had to go up to strangers in the mall with my boys walking through, seeing a girl working, like, all right, man, I'm about to go up to her, see what's up. And like sometimes you'd pull the trigger if you had confidence, sometimes you don't. And when you would get into a relationship, I feel for me at least, because I dodged the dating app genre because I've been in, a long relationship with the love of my life. And so, but I know a lot of guys now struggle because all these options. You get on a dating app, you have instant access to pictures and swipes and all this stuff. And I think it's the same thing with the betting apps. The more options you have, it favors the bookies. The more dating options you have, it favors the sadness, I guess, the loneliness, whatever you want to call it. I can't remember the odds exactly, but you make through over 900, but land 360s. Damn. So I know some of you guys are, probably make money on those punch stats. Swiping while driving is crazy work, boy. That's insane. Yeah, conversation. See, took a nasty L. Dating apps and social. Yeah, exactly. It's the same. I think there's an alignment with the dating apps and having punch stats on a betting app. I just want money line. I want over and under. I just got used to a knockdown prop. Muscle just put me onto the knockdown prop 3 weeks ago. Now I'm downloading Bet365 and they got over 40 jabs or how many uppercuts will he throw? And I'm like, I'm good on all that. Yeah, Pedro, that's the generation I came from. I'll just go, we just got to go up to a girl. And I think, on a side quest conversation, if you were with your boys growing up and you would see a girl and then you would bring, I'm going to go talk to her, and you don't go talk to her, you would get clowned. Or my buddies used to play a game called Shy Guy. This is like all my friends growing up, we were football players, basketball players, and we would be at a mall. And Shy Guy was, if one, like for instance, say my boy Rashad saw a girl looking at me, and he would say, hey, Johnny, that girl's looking at you, go talk to her. And I would say no. he would say, watch. And then he would go up to the girl and say, hey, you see my boy over there? He likes you, but he's too shy to go talk to you. So come on. And then he would just totally, you would just get put on blast and have to engage in a conversation. So shy guy was the way to go if you wanted to embarrass your mates. I don't think dudes do that. Yeah, Genesee Valley. See, we had the Southern Park Mall in Youngstown. We had the Southern Park Mall in Youngstown and Eastwood Mall. Eastwood Mall was the grimier chicks, but you had better luck in Eastwood hooking up with a chick in the parking lot that day. And the Southern Park Mall, those girls were a little bit more uppity. You probably had to go on a date with them, like Applebee's or something. Yeah, Shy Guy would get some of my boys in fights with each other because, some dudes are just keep to themselves. So Shy Guy turned into, why you hating? Why you trying to hate on me? That sort of thing. But this is old school. Bet365 is trash. They didn't pay you when Virgil knocked out Delorme in round 1. That's insane. The 5 Heartbeats did it. Dude, great movie, by the way. They do that. It's just supposed to. 5 Heartbeats. That's wasn't that Nights Like This I Wish Raindrops Would Fall? Nights like this I wish raindrops. After 7. I think After 7 did the 5 Heartbeats soundtrack. As you guys know, R&B was my go-to genre growing up. Yeah, the 5 Heartbeats, very underrated film and very underrated soundtrack. Maybe that's where my boys got that from then, because that's my generation. I guarantee Rashad probably saw that when we were kids and took it from that. Yeah, nice. Dude, After 7, people sleep. After 7 was, I think, Babyface's either brothers or Babyface's cousins. Definitely some relation there. But yeah, Nights Like This and Until You Do Me Right. They call it Michael Porter Jr. method nowadays. Until You Do Me Right was I think that's After 7. Do I bet football? I bet NCAA. I bet college football. So I'm an Ohio State Buckeye fan. So the landscape of college football betting has changed over the last few years because the conferences have changed. It's crazy. It's crazy to see Oregon and USC in the Big Ten. You know what I'm saying? Because when I was growing up, those guys played in the Pac-10, and we hated going out west. The Buckeyes, traditionally would struggle playing against USC in Pasadena, and when I moved to Long Beach in my early 20s, there was a big rivalry with SC. Those were like the Matt Leinart days, Reggie Bush days. But now seeing how the conferences has changed, the reason why I reference that is back in the day, even 10 years ago, the first 4 or 5 games of the season, Ohio State would play like the Sisters of the Poor. They would play like Ohio University. And you would have these odds like the Buckeyes should win by 4 touchdowns. Yeah, Albert is McGee, you got me. Yeah, McGee, I got nothing for you, brother. I just say you were right. And so now, back in the day, I would add, I'll show you receipts. I would hit 20-leg parlays with a bunch of $6s because at the time in college football, there wasn't a lot of parity. Ohio State would always beat Ohio Northern. Michigan, I would never bet on them because I hate Michigan. And they would lose to Appalachian State. Working right now, but I gotta say, quick cheers put me on to remind the Jazz if I have to breathe. So nice, dude. Horace Hurricane. That's what I'm talking about. Jazza. I'm glad you took him. I'm glad you won money. I unfortunately went against the grain and lost, but hey, lesson learned. Got to make some adjustments. These old-timers going against these young Olympians out here working. Mike Ross. What did I miss? Guys, we're 30 minutes in. Let's like this video. I'm going to stay on for another 30 minutes. And we're going to see. This is about time, 30 minutes in, where we start. It becomes the Wild West. So let's start doing some randoms. Yeah, Horace, well, what's better than waking up with some money in the account? That was the play. That was my lock of the week, and I didn't choose it. The fight not to go the distance. I said this. We do love bringing that Appalachian State game up. Yeah, dude, Jeremiah Dog. I mean, we got our receivers go all the way back to David Boston, Terry Glenn. Guys, go. Like, Jeremiah Smith is that dude, and look at all the all-pro receivers we have currently from Ohio State in the league right now, killing it. But go back to the late 90s, early 2000s, mate. You know, Terry Glenn was one of the best in the world. David Boston, one of the best in the world. And, you know, those are just two when I was a kid coming up. I know I said it and didn't play it. Chris Carter before that. Good call. I said it and didn't play it, DJ, and I'm salty about it. I needed somebody to convince me. I brought it up on guys, look at my titles of the videos. I even said on the title of the thumbnail, Dickens by knockout. I said that. And and when I put those up there, I want to see if anyone, because I learned from you guys just as much as you learned from me. And I went against my own instincts. I went with the fight to go to the decision rather than the fight to end by stoppage. And I'm salty. Better have a fall guy, Chris Carter. Dude, Chris Carter was so nice those years in Minnesota. I mean, he had a couple really good quarterbacks throwing him the pill. But wasn't Randall Cunningham? I think he had his best seasons when Randall was in Minnesota. But distance bet is... Couldn't pick a guy. I know. And that's what I'm learning. I picked Havanis. I picked the Havanis fight not to go the distance as well. Yeah, man, the dude was insane. His route running too. That's another lost art, I feel, is like running routes. Like the Jerry Rice type of guys who would kind of develop their speed not in a straight line, but their speed at angles and cutting angles and, you know, turning the shoulder. And yeah, man, the game is obviously evolving with foot speed. I mean, we just look at 40-yard dash times, but on a field that, in a sport that isn't always played linearly, that 40-yard dash time doesn't always necessarily mean a great player. Yeah, that was growing up in the 90s, man, that era of NFL, even on defense. If we're talking defense, bro, I'm good at MMA betting. Can I say, yeah, send me MMA better. MMA, you email me. Email me now. The Glenville, Ohio, you play Teddy Ginn, Marshawn Lattimore, Cardell Jones. People sleep. Cardell came in late replacement. One of our, you win a national title in Columbus, you are forever immortalized. I don't care what happens. You don't need to have a pro career. You don't even need to play a whole season. Cardell Jones was a backup. I think it was in my years get blended, but the year he didn't even start, and I think it was, who was our guy who got hurt with 2 games left? He might have got hurt in the Michigan game. It's going to kill me. Barrett. Was it JT Barrett who got hurt? Maybe JT gets hurt, and then Cardell steps up, and then beats Michigan, wins the bowl game, and we win the title. He balled out. And then he, off of those 2 games he started, he got drafted and just didn't pan out. But the dude had a cannon. Nick Foles drink free in Philly, no? Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Nick Foles. Same thing. You win a Super Bowl in Philly. Come on, mate. Who's the best Ohio State to ever go pro? The state, not. Who's the best Ohio football player to ever go pro? The state, not the school. I mean, on defense, you got, think about a guy like Chris Spielman. Even though Spielman did play, he did play in Columbus. He's an Ohio guy, middle linebacker. Some people call Spielman one of the greatest middle linebackers of all time. On defense, that's a guy I think of. Man, there's so many. I mean, that's a great question. I'd have to sit and ponder. To ever go pro, the best. There's so many of them. I'm thinking receivers like the Cleveland-Glendale connection. We get a lot of Western Pennsylvania guys too, though. So sometimes, where did Eddie George? I don't know if he was an Ohio guy. I think Eddie George might have came from the South. But he was one of the greatest running backs to go to Columbus and then, be a Hall of Famer. I mean, Chris Carter's up there. It's an interesting question. I'd have to sit on that because at 43, being from a football state, there's been so many football players. I mean, the Canton Football Hall of Fame was an hour from my hometown. Anthony Munoz, good call, man. Cincinnati Bengals legend. He played on those Boomer Esiason teams when they had Ickey Woods. They had James. Was it James? Damn, what was his name? They had Charles Woodson, Chris Woodson. That still burns me because he went to Michigan. Charles Woodson was unbelievable. Desmond Howard's from Cleveland. But he had a better. I think Desmond had a better college career because he won the Heisman. Yeah, so Michigan had, especially when Schembechler was there, because Schembechler was a Buckeye who went to Michigan, and then after Schembechler, Lloyd Carr, they had a good sort of. They would come to Ohio, especially the northern part of the state, and take some of the guys who Columbus wouldn't take. Because at the time in the '90s, John Cooper, our coach, and then even with Jim Tressel, even though we won a national title with Tressel, the way that offense was set up, it was recruit big ass linemen and run the ball down your opponent's throat and kick field goals and have a defense that will shut you down. The Kelseys are up there. I'm hating. I'm not a Travis. I'm not. Yeah, tight ends, I guess, yeah. And offensive linemen. They're from Cleveland. They're from about an hour north of me. They went to, I think, University of Cincinnati. So when you ask me about Ohio football players who are the best to make it the pro, I'm going, if you're the best to make it, I'm thinking Ohio State football players. Yeah. Anyway, there's a lot of them. I mean, somebody get on the Google and just say, Ohio football players in the Hall of Fame. It'd be an interesting stat. There's a lot of them right now in the league. The one that burns me is, granted, he wasn't going to start over, when Burrow was in Columbus, he wasn't going to start over, wasn't it Dwayne? Damn it, it's so sad what happened to, he got hit by the car. Dwayne Haskins. What do you think of Samir Ziani and Khalil? Let me check that fight. When's that fight going down? Yeah, dude, funny story about Notre Dame. I remember as a kid, I think because of the Rudy movie, my dad caught me singing the Notre Dame fight song, and he yelled at me. Yeah, I was a huge Rocket Ismail fan. Rocket Ismail, Tony Rice. I'll never forget, 1989, I was 7 years old. Notre Dame was playing University of Colorado, the Colorado Buffalo. It was either I think it was in the national title game, and Colorado had Eric Bieniemy. They had Eric Bieniemy running the ball, and I think they had, it was the year, I think, before Cordell Stewart. I forget who their quarterback was, because Cordell Stewart had Michael Westbrook at receiver when he was there, but the '89 Colorado team had Eric Bieniemy, and Rocket Ismail in this game returns a kick with like 2 minutes left, and a flag is thrown. Returns a kick to win the game. Flag gets thrown. They have to re-kick it, and he returns it again. God damn. Number 25 for the Irish was one of my all-time favorite college football players. The dude was electric. And his brother Quadri, the missile, who played at Syracuse, Quadri ended up, neither one of them had like all-pro careers, but as college football players, those guys were amazing. Quadri and Raheem. Rocket and Missile. Come on, dude. I'm like 7. I was a full-on invested in every sport at that. It's, obviously still now, 43. I've always been into football. I played quarterback from the time I was 7 until I was 18. I played outside linebacker for all those years as well. And growing up in the defensive scheme, at the time, we all ran a 4-3 on defense. So our outside linebacker was more like a cornerback. So we had to cover during pass plays, but we also had to come up and stuff the line and hit. Jerome Bettis, Notre Dame. Good call. Olympians in the dump right now. Olympians in the dump right now. I know. Put it in our group of non-bettors. I'm not going to bet again against a veteran against an Olympian, because these veterans are coming in there 4 or 5 losses. They're like, let me teach this little Olympian something. This ain't the Olympics, baby. This is the pros. And hats off to Dickens. Yeah, Jerome Bettis, when he was at Notre Dame, I think his quarterback was Rick Meyer. I don't know if Rick Meyer won the Heisman, but people were high on Rick Meyer. Notre Dame would always get these Tony, in my opinion, Notre Dame's best quarterback, excluding obviously Joe Montana, was probably Tony Rice. I like Tony Rice the best in South Bend, but then they would get guys like Rick Meyer, Brady Quinn, just really overhyped, sort of not that. I'll say it. These white quarterbacks at the media, because at the time, and I think still to this day, Notre Dame was an independent school, and they would all, they had that deal, I think, with NBC, and they'd always get their games, featured in primetime and Touchdown Jesus and oh, hail, oh, Notre Dame, stirring the echoes, chanting her name, onward. I remember singing that song when I was 7. My dad, backhanded me, Johnny, only a Buckeye fans in this house. Yeah, the biggest bust, Rick Meyer. Insane. And then you guys also had that, who's the kid who got catfished, played middle linebacker. They tried giving him the goddamn Heisman Trophy. It's like, what are you talking about, dude? I think he still might be in the league, but he never panned out either. I think he was like one or two. You remember that catfish scandal happened, and up until that scandal, it happened right before the Heisman voting. Did you get a chance? Sean Taylor, man, still is a soft spot for me, man. In my opinion, one of the greatest. Dude, Sean Taylor was amazing. He was amazing in Monte Teo. Taylor was amazing in Miami. I wasn't at the national title game when we beat them, but he was amazing in Washington. And it's so sad to see how he was amazing. He'd bring the lumber. He played the position. He was a dying breed at free safety. He would roam that position. He could cover you, but he was like 6'4", and he would lock you down. He would lay the lumber. He was a throwback at the time to guys like Steve Atwater and Ronnie Lott, these safeties who would come up and plummet you and knock you out the game. And these were my guys. So this was like the football brand of football I grew up playing. Like we all wanted to be Ronnie Lott. We all wanted to be Steve Atwater. And this is, dude, we were taught to hit with our helmets. Lay the lumber. I'm putting my head in your chest. I'm going helmet to helmet with you. When you look at the tackling drills we grew up doing, laying on our grounds head to head on our backs head to head, helmet to helmet. So we're both looking up. They blow the whistle. We'd start walk. One guy has the football. You blow the whistle and you start walking backwards opposite. So you end up here. They blow another whistle. You turn around. Boom. Oh, Cam Chancellor was a beast. Okay, yeah. The game has changed. That sort of style of play gets frowned upon now. But, Sean Springs. We had one in Columbus. Boy, people sleep about Sean Springs dude, and these weren't dirty guys. These were just brutal, hard-nosed hitters who would come off the ball and lay it on you. Yeah, I miss that style too, man. Or that, crack blocking. I'll never forget. It's my junior year of high school. We're playing a team against McDonald. We're playing a high school team in my area called McDonald High School, and I'm our quarterback. And these guys are bigger. And Oklahoma drill, yeah, these guys are way bigger than us. And I call a play, and it's the play was it was called a I right 48 waggle, which is I right 48 waggle. We're loaded on the right side. I fake the fullback dive to the right. So so we have a power backfield. We have the fullback and the tailback offset. We have a tight end set on the right, and we have a guard attack on the left. So we're overloading on the right. I'm faking the dive to the right, and then I'm wheeling out to look for a tight end drag across this way or a wide receiver post. Fake here. As soon as I fake the tailback running the other way, boom, I get ear hold. It's because my best friend at the time, Eddie Itam, who's playing wingback, just misses a block. And my point is, ear holding was a thing. And I remember that play like it was yesterday because I get ear hold. I'm in the huddle cussing my boy out like, what are you doing? Are you trying to get me fucking killed? And those plays like that used to be cheered for. Or I'm on defense, right? Same scenario. I'm playing outside linebacker. On offense, they have a wide receiver split. It's up to my halfback behind me. We're in a 4-3 to yell crack, crack. Crack means I'm on the line looking for the sweep or reading the quarterback option. They have this wide receiver split. The halfback is supposed to call crack if he sees the wide receiver crack blocking me because I don't see him. And this was a legal play at the time. I'm on the line waiting for the option. This dude gets like a 20-yard head start and ear holes me. And things like that were common in the era I grew up in, and now those are illegal. So, it's a wonder why my approach on some things could be I'm a little bit old school and conservative in terms of like seeing a lot of the pussification of sport or, you gotta evolve and you gotta protect the players. So I'm all for it. Guys, as we get, we've had a lot of football chat here. I'm gonna cut this short. We went 50-50 in Turkey. We have a fight card in the UK. Stay tuned to the channel. I'm gonna be uploading the Cordina fight and the Sky Nicholson fight. If you guys haven't already, subscribe, like this video, and let's get this money. Hopefully you guys didn't listen to me and went with Dickens. And if you did, I salute.